Norrie just walked into the middle of tennis's biggest rivalry and picked a side. The British star has trained with Jannik Sinner, faced Carlos Alcaraz 8 times, and now he's gone public with who he thinks is better. Sinner just won the ATP Finals, finished the year ranked number 2, and someone just told him he's still second best. This is awkward. Before we break down why Norrie's answer is causing chaos and what this means for the Sinner-Alcaraz rivalry, I need to know, who do you think is better right now, Sinner or Alcaraz? Drop your vote in the comments because this debate is far from settled.
You've played Alcaraz a handful of times. You've played Sinner?
Never
played Sinner. Who do you think, I know you've beaten Alcaraz and you haven't played Sinner. Do you believe that one of them is better, ranking aside, do you believe that one of them is better than the other one?
The thing is, I'd never played Sinner. I practiced him a lot. I never played him. I really want to play him. But I would like to do that first before I give you my honest opinion, but I always back Alcaraz, to be honest. I always think it's more variety, and I love watching him. So he's so good to watch, my favorite to watch. So I always back Alcaraz and I stick with him.
Norrie sat down for an interview on the Nothing Major podcast and got asked the question that every tennis fan has been arguing about for the past 2 years. Who's better, Jannik Sinner or Carlos Alcaraz? Now, most players dodge this question. They give some diplomatic answer about how both are incredible, how it's too early to tell, how they're both going to dominate for years. But Norrie, he went straight for it. I always back Alcaraz, to be honest. I always think he has more variety, and I love watching him. He is so good to watch, my favorite to watch. So I always back Alcaraz, and I stick with him. Boom. No hesitation, no qualifier. Just straight up picked Alcaraz over Sinner, despite the fact that Norrie has actually practiced with Sinner multiple times and has never even played him in an official match.
But you have 3 wins over Carlos Alcaraz in 8 matches. That's like unheard of. 3 and 5 against Alcaraz. What do you attribute your success to against him?
So I don't know, to be honest. You have to play well, and I think everyone's nice to be the underdog going in to play him, and I don't know. You have to stay disciplined with him and keep hanging with him and test him so hard. But yeah, I'm not sure really, to be honest.
Let's talk about how absolutely brutal this is for Sinner. The Italian just won the ATP Finals. He beat Alcaraz in that tournament. He finished the year with 11,500 ranking points, sitting at number 2 in the world. He's had arguably the best season of his career. And Norrie, a player ranked 27th in the world, just went on a podcast and essentially said, yeah, but Alcaraz is better. The disrespect is almost impressive. Now, Norrie tried to soften it a bit by saying he's practiced with Sinner a lot and really wants to play him in an official match before giving his honest opinion. But then he immediately gave his honest opinion anyway. He said he always backs Alcaraz. That's not exactly leaving room for doubt. Here's what makes this situation even more interesting. Norrie has actually faced Alcaraz 8 times in official matches, and he's won 3 of those encounters. 3 out of 8. That's a 37% win rate against someone he's calling the best player in tennis right now.
He gets it done. Cameron conquers Carlos.
6-3, 6-4.
It's the first time that Norrie has ever beaten the reigning world number 1.
When the podcast host asked him about his impressive record against Alcaraz, Norrie explained, I don't know, to be honest. You have to play well, and I think it's nice to be the underdog going in to play him. You have to stay disciplined with him and keep hanging with him. So let me get this straight. Norrie has beaten Alcaraz 3 times. He's never played Sinner in an official match, and he still thinks Alcaraz is better. That's either incredible confidence in Alcaraz's abilities or a pretty harsh assessment of Sinner's game. Norrie specifically mentioned Alcaraz's variety as the deciding factor. I always think he has more variety and I love watching him, Norrie said. And honestly, that's a fair point. Alcaraz does have an incredibly diverse game. He can hit drop shots from anywhere on the court, He transitions to the net beautifully, he has touch and power, and he can adjust his tactics mid-match better than almost anyone. But here's what's fascinating about this comparison. Sinner's game is built on consistency, power, and precision. He doesn't have the same flair that Alcaraz brings. He's not throwing in drop shots and running around the court with his tongue out. Sinner grinds you down with relentless baseline power and incredible court positioning. So when Norrie says Alcaraz has more variety, he's not wrong. But does variety automatically mean better? That's the question that's going to drive Sinner and his fans absolutely insane. Let's look at the actual numbers because this is where things get interesting. Alcaraz finished the year as world number 1 with 12,050 ranking points. Sinner finished at number 2 with 11,500 points. That's a 550-point difference, but Sinner won the ATP Finals. He beat the best players in the world in that tournament. He proved he could perform under pressure when it mattered most. And yet, he still finished the year ranked second. That has to sting. The comparison between Sinner and Alcaraz gets compared to the legendary rivalry between Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer, constantly. And honestly, it's a pretty good comparison. You've got two generational talents who are pushing each other to be better, who keep meeting in huge matches, and who represent different styles of play. Federer had the elegance and variety. Nadal had the relentless intensity and physicality. Sound familiar? Alcaraz has the flair and shot-making ability. Sinner has the power and consistency. The parallels are obvious. But here's where that comparison falls apart a bit. Federer and Nadal both ended up with legitimate claims to being the greatest of all time. They both won a ridiculous number of Grand Slams. They both dominated different surfaces. The debate about who was better never really got settled because they were so close. With Sinner and Alcaraz, they're still in the early stages of their careers. Alcaraz is 21 years old. Sinner is 23. They've got potentially 15 more years at the top level. So declaring one better than the other right now is kind of ridiculous. But that's not stopping anyone from doing it anyway. Norrie's comments are particularly interesting because he's coming from a player's perspective. This isn't some analyst or commentator who's never competed at this level. Norrie is currently Britain's second-ranked player. He's been ranked as high as number 8 in the world. He's won multiple ATP titles. He knows what it takes to compete at the highest level. And from that perspective, he's saying Alcaraz has something that Sinner doesn't. That variety, that unpredictability, that ability to throw different looks at opponents. Norrie thinks that's the deciding factor. But let's talk about what Norrie conveniently didn't mention. Sinner's mental game is absolutely incredible. The guy doesn't rattle. He doesn't let pressure get to him. He grinds through matches with a focus that's almost robotic. And in tennis, mental toughness often matters more than variety. Norrie also mentioned that Alcaraz is his favorite to watch. And look, from an entertainment perspective, that's completely understandable. Alcaraz plays with joy. He celebrates big points. He throws in ridiculous shots that make highlight reels. He's fun. Sinner's style is more workmanlike. He's efficient. He's methodical. He's not out there putting on a show. He's out there to win matches as effectively as possible. That's less entertaining to watch, but it's not less effective. Here's what's really going to drive Sinner crazy about this whole situation. He's done everything right. He won the ATP Finals. He finished the year ranked number 2. He's been incredibly consistent all season, and someone who's never even played him in an official match is saying the other guy is better. The practice sessions between Norrie and Sinner must be interesting. You've got Norrie hitting with one of the best players in the world, learning his game, seeing him up close, and then going on podcasts and saying, yeah, but Alcaraz is still better. That's got to create some awkward moments at the practice courts. Norrie revealed he's practiced with Sinner a lot. I have practiced with him a lot, Norrie said. I really want to play him. I would like to do that first before I give you my honest opinion. But then he gave his honest opinion anyway without ever having played Sinner in a match that counts. That's almost insulting when you think about it. Norrie is essentially saying that practicing with Sinner multiple times has given him enough information to conclude that Alcaraz is better, but he'd still like to play an official match just to confirm what he already believes. The head-to-head between Sinner and Alcaraz is actually pretty close right now. Alcaraz leads the overall series, but Sinner has won some massive encounters, including their most recent meeting at the ATP Finals. So even their direct competition doesn't give a clear answer about who's better. What makes Norrie's assessment even more interesting is that he has actual success against Alcaraz. 3 wins out of 8 matches is nothing to sneeze at. Most players would kill for that kind of record against a player as dominant as Alcaraz. And yet Norrie still thinks Alcaraz is the better player overall. When explaining his success against Alcaraz, Norrie mentioned being the underdog and staying disciplined. But there is something else at play here. Norrie's style of play, his consistency, his ability to keep the ball in play, his defensive skills, creates problems for Alcaraz's aggressive, variety-based game. Sinner's style, on the other hand, might actually be harder for Norrie to deal with even though they've never played officially. Sinner's relentless power and precision don't leave as many openings for a player like Norrie to exploit. That might be why Norrie wants to play him officially before making a final judgment, but it hasn't stopped him from picking Alcaraz anyway. Let's also talk about what's happening off the court because that matters too. Alcaraz has the personality. He's charismatic, he's engaging with media, he's building a brand that goes beyond just tennis. Sinner is more reserved. He does his talking on the court. He's not out there trying to be a personality. That difference matters when players like Norrie are asked who they prefer. Entertainment value plays a role. Who's more fun to watch? Who has more highlight reel moments? That's Alcaraz all day long. But does that make him better at winning tennis matches? That's a completely different question. Norrie is heading into the 2026 season with some clear goals. He mentioned wanting to enjoy his tennis more, focusing on his health, and preparing for tournaments and heat since he struggled with that last year. He's going to Buenos Aires for training camp, eating good steaks, and attending his coach's wedding. But throughout all of that preparation, he's going to know that he just publicly picked a side in tennis's biggest rivalry. And if he ever does face Sinner in an official match, you can bet that's going to be brought up. The British star is currently sitting at number 27 in the world rankings. He's Britain's second-ranked player behind Jack Draper. He's working hard to get back to the top 10 where he was previously ranked, and he's doing all of this while giving hot takes on podcasts about who's better between 2 players who are both clearly better than him. That takes some confidence, honestly. Most players in Norrie's position would stay neutral, not wanting to offend either player or their fan bases. But Norrie just went for it. He picked Alcaraz and explained exactly why. The upcoming Australian Open starting January 12th is going to be fascinating to watch now. Both Sinner and Alcaraz will be there trying to win their first major of 2026. If they meet in the tournament, you know this Norrie quote is going to get brought up. And if Sinner wins, he's going to have some extra motivation knowing that players like Norrie are out there saying Alcaraz is better. So there you have it. Cameron Norrie picked Alcaraz over Sinner based on variety and entertainment value, and the tennis world is losing its mind over it. Sinner's response on the court is going to be interesting to watch. If this breakdown gave you a new perspective on the rivalry, hit that like button and subscribe because this debate is just getting started.